We are starting today's shoulder with shoulder cars. What else? Start by finding your pelvis, tucking your hips underneath you, pulling your rib cage down, and reaching your arm up towards the ceiling, making sure not to arch through your back, reaching as far back as you can, keeping your arm locked out. When you can't reach back any further, internally rotate and draw a large circle back behind you as you go. Continue to internally rotate, bring out more and more rotation from your arm as you're going all the way down to your butt and reaching back the other way, straight back, rotating open, and continuing to reach up. The sun's in my eyes, and I feel slightly awkward because in suburbia, I don't know how common it is for people to see people doing this, but here we are in suburbia doing this. Other arm reaches up, tuck the hips, keep the ribs down, reaching back. Find your head. I notice that my head keeps on jolting forward. Try to keep the head back and in line. Reaching back, internally rotating, taking your time to feel the stretch through the arm as you go. Trying to get as big of a circle as you can with as much rotation through the arm at every step of the way. Once you get down to your butt, reaching back in the other direction, straight back, externally rotating, and reaching all the way up. Yeah. And relaxing. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the glenohumeral car, the circle, as we go around, as a sort of baseline to figure out where we want to get the stretch on the wall. So we're going to choose 3 different angles. A high 45, where you normally would go for your internal rotation, maybe somewhere in the upper, a second one in the upper part, and then a third one in the lower part. This is all sort of subjective, and basically what we're trying to do is target as much of this front part of the chest, the pectoralis major and minor muscles, this pec, and a little bit through the front of the shoulder, and get as much of a stretch here as we can, now using the wall as a passive sort of support to get the stretch in. I thought it would be fun to pull up a video of the pectoralis being stretched and contracted, which is basically what we'll be focusing on for most of the next 20 minutes. The thing to note here is that, of course, here I've only highlighted the pec muscle, but there are going to be muscles throughout the upper body that are going to be stretched as we're going here, but the pec is the main focus for today. So what you're going to do is you're going to find that high 45 degree. When you turn your palm to point away from you, touch the palm to the wall. And then you're just going to play around here by finding different ways to get into the stretch. So maybe leaning towards the wall, or leaning your body alongside the wall as if you were trying to reach forward or walk forward, but your arm is stuck where you've left it. And as you're doing this, you're just trying to feel the stretch through the pec. You can sort of go in and out of it, but once you find a good position for the stretch, stay there and try to breathe with it for about 30 seconds. Be questioning, should my legs be lunged? Should I have them side to side, one in front of the other? Really, it depends on what's going to give you the best feeling into the stretch through the pec. It's not going to be exact, and it can change depending on where you're at. And then you'll find another position, maybe a little bit lower down, Same thing. This time, again, you can reach straight into the wall if that feels good. You can go straight forward, like alongside the wall, walking alongside the wall. You could even start to rotate away from the wall. So pulling your body to turn towards away from the wall. And again, staying here and breathing for about 45 seconds. As you do this, you want to keep the shoulder pulling down and away from the ear and continue to find the stretch through the pec. You see me moving around here a bit, sort of finagling with my body to find the correct stretch that I'm looking for, and that's totally fine to do. If you got to move to find it, if you lose the stretch, you can always come back to it. And then the last one, you coming a little bit lower now. Again, even though I say lower, it's a lower quadrant. There's a lot of different places where I could be, so I just try to find it, and once I found it, then I start the process moving into the wall, moving alongside the wall, twisting away from the wall, using any one of those 3 directions to feel the stretch. Once I'm there and I've gotten into it, I can change it again as I did there, but once you find it, try to stay with it for about 30 seconds. Okay. Taking this on the left side, I also haven't mentioned yet that you might feel this not only in the pec, but in the bicep, maybe the forearm. I try to get people to stay away from just feeling it through the back of the shoulder, because generally the back of the shoulder is about feeling rotation. And here we're really trying to find the stretch through the front side of the tissue. The back of the shoulder here will certainly be in a contracted position, but again, it's not the focus of this passive stretching. Later on today, we will do something that asks for a little bit more contraction of active contraction of the back of the shoulder. Yeah, come on out of that, find your second upper quadrant pec stretch, and stay with it and breathe. And finally, coming on out of that, finding your third lower quadrant pec stretch, enjoying the subtle sounds of suburban life. So ease on out of that. You're going to come up with your back up against the wall, and your feet can be anywhere between 6 inches and 2 feet away from the wall. You do not have to stand straight up against the wall here. And get your butt against the wall, or your waistband against the wall. Get your low back against the wall. your upper back against the wall, and your head against the wall. So that might be enough for some of you, and if that's just like killing you already, then you're just gonna hang out here for 3 rounds of a minute. Then you're gonna take your arms out to the side here, and with your arms against the wall, get your elbows to touch the wall, and then get your back of your hand against the wall. You can make a fist or straighten your hand, but whatever you do, your fist is touching the wall, and you don't want this sort of angle here because that's going to trick you into thinking you're touching the wall with your fingers, but not with your back of your wrist. So make sure the back of your wrist is touching the wall. Try to have your elbows in line with your shoulders and hang out right there. That might be a lot for you. If it is, stay. If you can go on from there, keep your shoulders pulling down, enjoy the sun on your face, and then try to reach up just a bit. You don't have to go very high with this. Continue to pull the shoulders down away from the ears as you reach up. Keep the whole forearm and the whole wrist against the wall, and then glide yourself back down a little bit lower than where you began. And you'll take about 5 glides, cactus glides against the wall, up and down. Try to breathe as you go. Keep the low back on the wall. Keep the upper back on the wall. Keep the back of the head against the wall. And continue to pull the shoulders back. Down. Last one. That was definitely not 5. These are super intense. Good. And whoosh, relax out of that. You're going to keep your low back against the wall. Keep your shoulders against the wall. Keep the back of your head against the wall. Let's do both arms. Reach both arms up. As you go, keeping your low back and upper back against the wall. If I'm staying super honest with myself, my arms are not touching the wall here because I'm keeping my back against the wall. Squeezing back, keeping the shoulders down and pulling the arms back, keeping the upper back against the wall as well, squeezing back and holding, locking out through the arm. I'm just going to say, for the sake of time, I'm not going to put it in this video, but I would recommend, if you're doing this regularly and you have the time for it, do 3 rounds of that 1 minute hold that we just did. We're now going to do the same stretches that we did before, but on the floor. Relationship to gravity, so that could be interesting for you to try out. So what you'll do is you'll come down onto the floor, take your hand out to the side. It's right 90 degrees right out to the side, so my hand is in line with my shoulder for this, and then I'm just gonna pull my shoulder away from the floor a bit and then roll over onto the side, looking for stretch sensation again through the pec, through the shoulder, through the bicep, the forearm. You can here roll your shoulder into the floor ever so slightly and then pull the shoulder back and see if that helps you change the sensation or get it more out of the shoulder and more into the pec. You do not need to step your foot behind you if you're too limited in this range of motion. You can just keep your back leg down on the floor and use that hand to push, and that could be enough leverage on the ground to get that stretch through the shoulder. If you want to intensify it, of course you can step that leg behind you or even further behind you than I have it, but this is a good spot for me. You'll hold this anywhere between 30 seconds to a minute, and you can repeat that a few times. Hand down, pull the shoulder away, push the floor away, and feel that stretch on the other side as well.
And apologies for the slow-mo here if you notice. I'm suddenly moving very slowly and my hair is moving in the wind because I just didn't hold this for long enough, so I'm stretching out the time here. I want to give you a minute on both sides. Again, you can repeat as you see fit. I wouldn't suggest doing like 3 minutes on the wall and then 3 minutes on the floor. I think it's a lot. You could do both, like a combination like we're doing in this video, or if you like one more than the other, just stick with that. Then go back to the initial side. This time you're going to lift the arm up and off of the floor and then do your best to roll over onto that side that you've lifted off, squeezing back. Your forearm is not allowed to touch the floor and you're trying to get as much twist over as you can, continuing to pull the shoulder away from the ground. Squeeze up. Pull the shoulder back, reach with your foot, pull the shoulder back, and relax back down. You can get a stretch again through your pec, lots of work through your tricep, hopefully not too much torque in your low back. And of course, finally the other side, lifting up and pulling back, trying to get as far back as you can with the twist as you pull the arm off of the floor. Trying not to borrow too much from your low back, because if you do, it will all go straight into there. Instead, pull with the arm, pull with the shoulder, and hold. You can go deeper if you can have more than a few inches off the floor. Squeezing. Pulling the shoulder down, externally rotating, and relaxing. You can just take a stand, take your arms and externally rotate them. Try to feel that stretch and that openness through the bicep. And then walk along for the rest of your day with your arms nice and rotated open. Okay. Hope you enjoyed, everybody. Crazy hair. There we go.